Hey guys, Jacob with Jacob Comics. We have a fun collection find here today. Kind of go through what I found. I think it was a really cool collection. A little bit of backstory, at least like what I learned about the collection, what I know after kind of talking to the seller, is that this is a collection from a guy that owned like a 7-Eleven or convenience type store in the 90s from like 91 to 92. They closed down, and this is kind of like the backstock slash possibly things he speculated on because as you'll see at the end of the video, there was a bunch of really high grade cool keys and stuff. So the guy was really cool. He also threw in this Batman Returns card packs that are still sealed. His name was Knox Vegas. There you go. Super cool guy. Definitely shout out to him. Appreciate him. There's a couple things here that I've picked out for my personal collection, and we'll kind of look at that a little bit closer, and then we'll scan through a bunch of this stuff. So I grabbed Star Trek: The Modella Imperative, Star Trek: The Next Generation 11, 15 from Star Trek: The Next Generation, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 10, which is pretty cool. A couple copies of the Scooby-Doo #1 from Harvey, which I like Scooby-Doo. A Felix the Cat #1. My aunt really likes Felix the Cat, so I might gift that to her. There was a Roger Rabbit #1, 2, and 3, and I loved Roger Rabbit. The Spider-Man 2099 #1 newsstand. That as you'll see, there's some nice high grade stuff in here. I want to say these are probably like 9.4s. Ravage 2099 newsstands, 9.2, 9.4, somewhere around there. This Weapon X 81, I didn't have that one. And as you're gonna see, there's a bunch of X-Force #1s in here. And check it out, guys. I found a Deadpool card inside one of them, so I'm holding on to that. Darkman. Do you guys remember Darkman? I loved that movie when I was younger. I thought it was really cool. One of the early comic book movies. It's a 3-issue limited series. I got issue #1, 2 copies of 2, and 2 copies of 3. So that's what I've pulled out so far. That I was like, I want to keep that. We'll kind of real briefly scan through a bunch of this. So it's a lot of doubles of stuff. Angel in the Ape #1, couple copies of that. This Eclipso, some Justice League. Actually, a pretty cool funeral for a friend. There's like 3 or 4 copies of that. This Agent Liberty #1, couple copies of that one. A bunch of copies of this Supergirl #1, Reign of Tomorrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 copies. Some cool Green Lanterns. This is I have pulled out like some of the more major keys and then gone through some of the stuff. So there's a bunch of like Reign of the Supermans, Superman Back for Good key, a bunch of copies of that. It's all really high grade. Another really neat thing about this collection was it was all newsstand. So everything's a newsstand copy. I really liked this cover, that homage to Action Comics. And then there's some Star Trek in the back here of that box. This is where it kind of gets cool. There's a bunch of these Fantastic Fours that are this white cover. A bunch of Silver Sable and the Wild Pack #1 newsstands, high grade. This Venom, wow, glow in the dark. There you go. Some Web of Spider-Man. A bunch of copies of the X-Force that were not Deadpool. And then there's X-Men 25. These are all these holographic covers for the X-Men. So there's the X-Men one, the X-Force one, multiple copies of each one. These are cool books too, and they're all newsstand and uncirculated, high grade. So Two Venom Lethal Protector newsstands in here. Punisher War Zones, The Incredible Hulk. This cover, I always thought this cover was really awesome. This Punisher 75. That's super cool. There's 3 copies of that. Some of these, some Gambit #1 newsstands, Cable #1 newsstands. Codename Wolverine 50 newsstands. Soviet Super Soldiers. I'm kind of flipping fast, I'm sorry. I don't want this video to be too long. I want it to be entertaining though. This cool glow-in-the-dark Clive Barkers and the Harrowers. A couple copies of that. Sleepwalker Holiday Special. And I think like 7 copies of this NFL Super Pro. If anybody's looking for Super Pro, as you guys know, I do sell on IG. Click the link below. You know, hit me up on IG if you see anything here that you're interested in. It might be for sale. I had found these News Times, which is kind of an interesting like remnant of the night of 1993, the death of Superman. It's sort of like, what if you could go into Metropolis and pick up the News Time off of the rack. So it's like a very in-world comic book. It's not a comic book, it's more like reading a Newsweek. And then there was these Wizard Superman tribute editions that come with a Superman holo card. There's a few copies of each of those. And then this box is really cool. It's got a lot of cartoon stuff in here. We got Barbie, a bunch of Barbie. A bunch of really cool Barbie covers too. These covers are really cool. That's a lot of Barbie. This Disney Comics in 3D. And then there's Mickey Mouse Adventures issue 1, a couple copies of issue 1, and issue 2, issue 3, a couple copies of everything, all the way to 10. So it's a bunch of Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse. I specifically like this cover. It's one of my favorites. That's an awesome one. They are all cool though. And then it goes Donald Duck #1. So this is a really cool collection, right? Bunch of cartoon stuff. And the Donald Duck is multiple copies of each issue, all the way to issue 10 as well. And then the Goofy Adventures 1, the same thing, multiple copies, all the way to issue 10. This real Ghostbusters that's still polybagged with some glasses. Bugs Bunny, some more Roger Rabbits, extra copies that I only took the issue 1 through 3, but there's some more copies of that. There's a Tailspin, a DuckTales. Some of this stuff's like harder to find, so I thought it was really cool to find a lot of this stuff. These are Walt Disney Comics, issue 550 and 557, Uncle Scrooge 250. I'm trying to go fast. Then there's a bunch of like movie, like Rescuers Down Under, 101 Dalmatians, White Fang, The Rocketeer, Dick Tracy, super cool stuff. And then it gets really strange back here. There's these Greatest Morons in History featuring Dan Quayle, some Elvis Presley comic books, not even kidding you, some Elvis Presley comics, some of these reprints of The Haunt of Fear, issue 1, Tales from the Crypt, about 6 or 7 of those. And then a bunch of these Michael Jordans, which I was actually surprised to find out they're worth about $10 a piece. Some more a different Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and then these are all sports stuff back here. So there's Mickey Mantle, pretty cool stuff. Ken Griffey Jr., Pete Rose, Jose Canseco, and then some Impact comics in the very, very back. Jaguar issue #1, a bunch of copies of that. he speculated on the Jaguar comics. So I've gone through I'm up here. I have gone through the entire collection. So that's like what I've sorted out that wasn't completely 9/8 candidates, because as you'll see here is the rest of the collection, which I have sorted out 9/8 candidates. and I kind of want to leave it a little bit of a mystery as to what else all is in here. You know, hey, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for future upcoming unboxings where I will be unboxing these books and we'll see what kind of grades I get. Just a little teaser here, we'll go through some of the books that I will need to press and clean. There is Spider-Man 13, that really awesome Todd McFarlane cover, and I was so stoked. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copies of that, guys. All newsstand. Telling you, this collection was really nice. Some Spider-Man number 3s, high grade newsstands. I think 5 of those. Green Lantern 48, the first cameo appearance of Kyle Rayner. There was 2 copies of that, and then Green Lantern 49. This just almost classic Green Lantern Kyle Rayner key. He's got like all the different rings of power. And this is some interesting stuff, you know, guys. Hey, let me know what you think. I'm kind of thinking these could be cool to grade because they're newsstand and they're such, they might be 9/8 candidates. I do have to go through them and look, but there's this Supergirl where it's like who's buried in Superman's tomb. I personally always thought that was a classic cover. And then there's this Batman Nightfall run. 2 copies of 3 copies of Nightfall number 1, and then there's Nightfall 2, 3, 4, and these are newsstand copies, so I think that kind of matters as far as like high grade newsstands. Like, look at this cover; these are awesome. That is just really cool. This is Detective Comics 620. And then there's a bunch of these Superman and Action Comics 692. I'm also curious what you guys think about slabbing that. If it's really high grade in a newsstand, how many of you guys would like that? It's a really classic Superman cover. So I have like 9 copies of that. And then there's this Wolverine 43, also a very cool cover. They're all newsstand. What was in the back here? Some Incredible Hulks like that. Warlock in the Infinity Watch, a Deathlock, and an Infinity Crusade. And then, so that's all the stuff that I would need to press. And then, like I said, we'll leave some of this as a secret because I should be unboxing some of the 9/8 candidates already soon. They're what you would call cardstock covers that you can't really press them. So I've had good success in the past submitting them and getting good grades. Check this one out too. What would you think about this one? I don't. They're very nice. Obviously, they're like 9/8 candidates. It's a really cool Mike Mignola cover, and it's a Batman and Judge Dredd from like 1990. But yeah. So that's kind of the collection there. I thought it was an amazing collection. Let me know what you guys think down below. Leave comments. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.